Morning. Continuing my morning series as I have coffee and basically talk to you guys about gaming news and things surrounding gaming news. Talk about Xbox and Bethesda. Now, according to an unsealed document from the FTC during the Blizzard Activision acquisition, it looks like Elder Scrolls 6 is going to only be on Microsoft platforms. And I have all Microsoft platforms, and that's painful for me to hear. And this morning I wanted to go over some numbers, which I usually suck with, but I have caffeine. This is why Microsoft is choosing Elder Scrolls 6 to be a Microsoft exclusive game. At least I'm theorizing based on numbers that are public. So this chart was just released and it says that there's an approach to following acquisition since 2018. The developer, the existing IP, is it a multiplayer game? Is it crossplay? Is it released on PlayStation? What's the release date? What's the platforms available? And what is their statement regarding all of these decisions? And then following the acquisition of Bethesda and Microsoft, you can see a bunch of red X's across the board for released on PlayStation. Now, PlayStation did not miss out on Redfall. I can assure you that you guys were not hurting about that. But jumping to Elder Scrolls 6, why would they make this only for Microsoft platform? In order to find that out, we should go backtrack through history and look at Skyrim sales. The Xbox 360 had 8.88 million sales for Skyrim. The PlayStation 3 had 3.36 million sales, so Xbox handily outsold it. And despite how beloved the Xbox 360 is, the PlayStation 3 actually technically outsold the Xbox 360. Xbox 360 had 84 million, PlayStation 3 had roughly 88 million. And the Xbox 360 versus the PlayStation was actually kind of marginal. So the fact that Skyrim almost tripled the sales of a console that was already losing is really impressive. In correlation, we can see that Xbox users just simply bought more Skyrim. The PS4 was reported by Sony to sell 114 million, and the Xbox One sold 58 million. And this actually shows in the sales of a Skyrim remaster, which PlayStation handily dominated Xbox One in. 589,000 versus 350,000 is pretty handily. Now, this is nowhere near as even, so we can definitely say that the landslide from PlayStation 4 can definitely correlate to the fact that PlayStation sold more consoles. And you can also maybe consider that the core Xbox user probably played Skyrim at least once and maybe they just weren't buying it twice. With all things considered, we're still kind of comparing a remaster. They relaunched a game, so I mean, it's probably not going to sell exactly the same way. Especially because Xbox users really, dominated the original sale of Skyrim. Now I want to combine both sales figures, meaning that Xbox 360 and Xbox One Skyrim combined, that sold 9.2 million copies. Adding Xbox 360's 8.8 million copies with the 350,000 copies of the Skyrim remaster on Xbox One came up with that figure. Now, adding the sale history of PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 Skyrim and Skyrim Remastered, well, that adds up to about 4 million. Which means that even losing the console war, Skyrim still sold much better collectively on Xbox and Microsoft platforms than it did on Sony, and we're not even factoring in PC. But that hefty buy on Xbox 360 really did help them out a lot with Skyrim sales. And the real reason why Microsoft is even able to obtain other studios like Bethesda, Blizzard, and Activision is because they lost the console war technically. And there's definitely correlation in the fact that PlayStation 4 doubled the Xbox One sales and also doubled the sales of Skyrim Remastered on those generations of consoles. Microsoft is really just looking to get people to subscribe to Game Pass. It's going to be a big draw point to get people not only playing on Xbox, but also subscribing to their very exclusive collection of games that they're going to only offer on Xbox. Whereas PlayStation is basically just saying, like, we have God of War, we have Spider-Man, we have Horizon, we have really good releases, and you guys are going to pay $70 for the premium of all of these titles. But let's take a look at Starfield, because everybody said Starfield was going to fail because it's only on PC and Xbox, Microsoft platforms only. And 6 million players is pretty damn good. Now, how 6 million people got their hands on that game, it is not because they all spent $70 on that premium title like they would have with Sony and PlayStation. But that said, even if half of those people keep their subscriptions for 1 year, they essentially just made their money back tenfold. Which, in all honesty, Starfield was probably the perfect game to roll out an exclusive game for the Game Pass because it has so many hours you can put into this game and it's going to have a lot of DLC and shelf life. It kind of makes sense. 100%ing a game like Starfield would just be absurd to do in under a month, and Microsoft knew that, so they were just like, yo, this is the perfect game to launch exclusively, and now they're saying Elder Scrolls 6 is going to launch exclusively. And as far as sales for Xbox goes, I think the next generation of Xbox comes out in 2028, and I think that this is going to be a huge selling factor. And PlayStation, well, they got VR, and they got really good premium titles for $70, but it's not really subscription-based, and they didn't really innovate the way that people have access to their games. I mean, Starfield having 6 million players in the game at the same time is absolutely ridiculous. That's more than like God of War, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, and all of these games combined. Oh, those aren't necessarily premium title sales, but all I'm saying is that if this is offered on the Game Pass, that there's going to probably be a record-breaking peak of people playing this game that's going to surpass Starfield's way beyond 6 million. Especially with new generation consoles and a lot of people actually trusting Bethesda now after Starfield is for the most part a pretty damn good game. So Xbox actually being the breadwinner in this case makes a lot of sense, and I think it's better for gaming because at least 2/3 of the console share that they're making up is going to be shared with games that I can access on PC and on Game Pass on my Xbox. She would probably just kind of hold it and gatekeep it for a little bit behind that $70 premium title and their console. Sometimes I think that Microsoft tilting the scales in their favor is going to be good for gaming. I think Nintendo is still the most dominant, but they also have a very niche game system. They also have a very niche collection of games that everybody relies on. But if you look back, man, the Xbox 360 era was amazing. Some of the games to come out of Xbox 360s, like Breakaway, this is the time that Xbox actually took the ball and ran past PlayStation. They did amazing. That was one of the best eras in gaming ever. I mean, you had Jet Set Radio Future, you had Forza, you had Halo, the trilogy, Gears of War, the trilogy, you had Fable. There were a lot of great games to come out of Xbox 360 and that era. I hope they do it again. And if it's all on Game Pass, then there could be one of the best generations of gaming since, I don't know, 2007 to 2012? I would say maybe 2013. Who knows what comes of this? And I'm no business major, guys. I was an art major, but all I'm going to say is this much. Looking at these numbers and understanding what happens when people have a dominant console and also have a dominant game within that console, they're going to get more people to subscribe to Game Pass, and I do think that it is a good business decision to put Elder Scrolls 6 on Xbox and Microsoft platforms exclusively. That's a W for the consumer for the most part. This is bad for the consumer for the PlayStation, but it's also good that PlayStation's back is against the wall right now because a lot of great things are created when people are under pressure. And Elder Scrolls 6 won't even be coming out until at least 2026 or later, making a lot of time for people to pivot. Keep this in mind as you're buying your consoles and also being married to a piece of plastic with some branding on it. Just know what's best for you and don't be married to just I guess a logo, right? Cheers. I think this is probably not too bad for gaming, but it's probably going to piss a lot of PlayStation players off. Make sure you like and subscribe.